and I'll be talking about Poland now. I'll be talking about Poland because I am actually 100% Polish, and most of my family still lives there. So growing up, I would spend almost 5 weeks every summer visiting my family and traveling around the country. And I'm really excited to share some of my favorite places with you. So as you can see on this map, Poland is right in the middle of Europe. And I'll be talking about landmarks in Warsaw, which is the capital of Poland, and then also two landmarks near Krakow, which is a really big city in the south of Poland. And here you can see more of an interactive map of the country, and you see that Poland is covered in a lot of forests and rivers, and it has a lot of medieval castles and forts. There's a lot of really, really long history. It dates back more than 1,000 years ago, and it's bordered by Germany, the Czech Republic, Slovakia, Ukraine, Belarus, Lithuania, and Russia. And so the first site I'll be talking about is the old town in Warsaw. And Warsaw, like I said before, is Poland's capital. And the old town is right in the middle of Warsaw. And this was the first part of the city. It was built in the 12th and 13th century. So that was the 1100s and the 1200s, a really, really long time ago. And it's surrounded by fortification walls to protect the city from any type of attack. And on the right side, you could see the royal castle, and that marks the entrance to the market square, which is the actual center of the city. And it has restaurants, bars, street vendors, street art. It's just very bustling with activity. There's always people there. It's a lot of fun to spend time there. And it also has a bunch of museums. So there's the Literature Museum, which is dedicated to Poland's greatest writer and poet. His name is Adam Mickiewicz. And then there's also a historical museum of Warsaw, which has a lot of exhibits from World War II because Poland was very involved in the war. And from the 1944 Warsaw Uprising, which was the underground resistance movement that was led by the Polish army, trying to liberate Warsaw from German occupation at the time. And then the column at the middle that you see in the picture is dedicated to King Zygmunt III, and he was the king that moved the capital from Krakow, which is where it originally was, into Warsaw. So this column just commemorates what he did. And so, unfortunately, during World War II, this city was completely destroyed. It was the biggest city in Poland. There were 1.3 million people lived there, and 85% of the city was completely torn down and brought to the ground. And so we lost a lot of the historical monuments that were there, and so it had to be entirely rebuilt. And in the top right corner, you can see a picture of what it used to look like, and then the other pictures show you what it looks like now. So it's very similar, and they did a really great job of completely reconstructing it. And so you could see that there's cobblestone Gothic streets and alleyways, different Baroque palaces like the one you saw in the slide before, churches, and tiered houses. And then now we're going to move to the south of Poland, to Krakow, which was the first capital of Poland before it moved to Warsaw. And here is Krakow Castle, which is the first residence of the kings and queens of Poland back in the 11th century. So this was the year 1000, almost more than 1,000 years ago now. But the castle wasn't fully completed until 1540 because there was a lot of renovations. There were some fires that happened along the way. So what you see of the castle now was built in 1540, which is super old. And so Krakow, unlike Warsaw, survived World War II, and it wasn't affected as badly. So all the buildings are original. They didn't have to be rebuilt. And so Poland's kings and queens lived in this castle up until the 1600s, which is when the capital was moved. And during that time, the castle became the seat of Poland's lower court, which is kind of like Congress in the US. And the royalty only went back to the castle for special occasions. If there was a wedding or a funeral or some kind of important parade or coronation, And now, if you are to visit the castle, it's a museum, and it has a bunch of artwork and important historical artifacts from the long history of Poland, dating back from the 1300s until today. And you can see in these pictures that the castle is built on a hill, and under the hill is a big cave, and this is called the Dragon's Den. And there's a legend that's associated with this cave that says that a dragon used to live in the cave and terrorize the people of Krakow. He would eat all their cattle, their sheep, he would eat people, and nobody could destroy this dragon. Nobody could kill him. So eventually, the townspeople devised a plan where they stuffed a fake sheep filled with sulfur and put it in front of the cave. And of course, the dragon ate it because he loves eating sheep, and got so thirsty, he went to the river and drank all the water out of the river and exploded. And that's how they defeated the dragon. So now when you go visit the castle, you can go see the cave where the dragon used to live. And there's this statue of the dragon out in front. And if you're really lucky, you could see him breathe fire, because he breathes fire every once in a while. And the last place I'll talk about is right near Krakow. It's about an hour away, and it's the Wieliczka salt mines. So these are massive salt mines that were built in the 13th century, and the salt that is there was formed 14 million years ago. So it's been there for a very long time, and they've been mining it from the 13th century up until 2007 is when they actually stopped mining it. So pretty recently, and now it's just a tourist attraction. Also, as you see in the picture on the right, there's a giant hall, and they hold different types of events there, like concerts, theater productions, balls, weddings. And the really cool thing about this place is that everything is made of salt. So every little sculpture and engraving that you see, even the chandeliers, the staircase, everything is made out of salt. And so this salt mine is 1,072 feet underground and 178 miles long. So if you look at the picture on the left here, that's what it looks like from the top. So it's just this pretty small building. And underneath that is a massive, massive mine that's 178 miles long and over 1,000 feet deep. And so you could see that there's also a lake that far underground, and the lake is very salty, almost as salty as the Dead Sea. So about as salty as it gets. If you went into there, you would definitely float. And here is the last picture, and it has a lot of chapels and engravings that were made by famous artists. And if you go on the tour, you're actually encouraged to lick the wall, because, as I said before, everything is made of salt, so everything is pretty much edible.